Good evening, students. Today we will be discussing about forestry orientation exclusively for this year mains writing students, where we focus largely on what should be the strategy and how to work on for the next few days, next 4 weeks of a time period you do have, right? Where we will be focusing largely on forestry today, where tomorrow's session will be on geology, the day after tomorrow's session will be on agriculture part. All three optionals will be available as a classroom program and also as a test batch with respect to Vajiram and Ravi. Right? The focus of forestry, let me speak about certain myths that has been associated or misinformation that prevails first. People have a question like, I have no idea of what is forestry, or I have no idea of my second optional. Will it be a good time if I start now and put an effort towards it? Will it reach any benefit towards me? Right? Most of the students will be in such manner, right? Maybe some 10% of the people would have written last year mains examination or a year before, attended the interviews and reappearing again. Another 5% would have started, or 10% would have started from the civil service time periods, skipping the civil services, and then we had a batch one for that, and we had a good number of students also in batch one, where they focused on skipping the civil service means and put across. So it's going to be something around 15 to 20%. 80 to 85% of the populations will be fresh, do not know even about the syllabus, and start preparing only from now. That is what they always do. Not just this year, every year. And every single time I say, you finish the civil service mains and come, we will work on it. Those 50 days is more than sufficient. That's the same thing I'm willing putting it across. That 50 days is more than sufficient. Only thing you will have to do is like, equip yourself in the conceptual clarity of optional subjects and the knowledge of the optional subject. That is more important with respect to it, number one. Number two, if you are able to follow the classes, test batches, and to do what is being suggested, and if you run along with me, we will ensure that you get into good marks with respect to it. Here it is largely about the writing. So the first myth, whether it is sufficient time is available, it is based upon all other competitors. So yes, it is a sufficient time available. Don't worry about it. You got an opportunity. Most of the time periods, people will not be able to clear the prelims or for the forest service, or they clear the prelims for the forest service only when the results comes. They will know only when the results comes. So you got an opportunity, utilize the opportunity to the maximum potential, number one. Number two, the kind of another myth is like, let's read one book and that is sufficient. You might even see some suggestions like this, where we read one book, more than sufficient, put it across, go there, use color pens, fill the page, you will get marks. UPSC is no joke to do that. If you have been polarized with respect to that opinion, who gave that opinion would have been a person, maybe one or two people, whoever has told in the 5 years before, 7 years before, 10 years before. That is because when 2013-14 time periods, when the integration happened between civil service prelims and mains, easily 50% will be an absentee in the mains examination. And those time periods, English and GK marks scored exceptionally high. So whoever scored GK and English and scored even less with respect to it, and interview helped them, they went into it. But this is not the pattern. UPSC knows it. UPSC has changed the question pattern. UPSC has changed the evaluation pattern in the last 4 years largely. And there is a huge difference. If you spoke with the people, whoever has got into service in the last 3 years and who has entered into the interview or not get into the service, you will be able to see a huge difference in mains mark. The mains is the determining factor for the forest service. And for the mains, what is required is the questions of what kind of questions have been reduced and conceptual understanding questions have increased. And sometimes students come out of the examination and say, sir, question paper was very general, sir. A science question paper can never be general. A science question paper can never move out of the syllabus. Only thing, people do not know the subject and then saying that the science question paper was general. That's a misconceived opinion. For the general answer, the question was general, I wrote generally, but I did not get the marks. Question was never general. Question is science, question seemed general, you have to write science. So that is the most important challenge will be there in the examination, especially forestry. Why forestry? Because largest percentage of people will take forestry. So competition is extremely high. Second, when you are able to have a very clear understanding of the entire subject, every question is going to be a science question and you answer so beautifully from the science part, where the questions does not have answers in the book. But the understanding of the subject will give you an answer. That is more important to put it across, right? Then people speak in terms of filling the paper, color pens, this and all. Don't disrespect UPSC here. Please don't. UPSC is far better than what we know. Second, if I fill the papers, color pens, we already spoke about it. Do we need writing practice? People will be like, can I read and go into the examination and write? Most of the time periods, what I see with respect to students is over the last 13 years, this is my 14th year of teaching forestry. What I see with respect to students is they are mostly arts optional students, or arts and science optional students. Whereas forest services in civil service examination, in forest services only science is an optional subject. So you have to write completely the scientific answer writing skill. That is way different from writing an arts optional. So only the writing practice, something like daily answer writing practice, test followed by the daily answer writing practice and its discussion changeover will be able to enable someone to put it across. So you do require writing practice. You cannot be someone who will be like, okay, let me go there, read everything and reproduce. That question is not going to come. One book will not help at all. If you look into the answer writing format, right, always start with definition. There is nothing called conclusion, right? The body of the answer has to go on. Parallelly, diagrams has to come. At least 20% of your answer should be diagrammatic. And even I'm a graduate of forestry, even my own subject books does not provide diagrams for all the topics. Maybe few topics they gave you diagrams. Even if you take the core subject books, we used to study some 28 to 30 core subject books to complete our complete our graduation of 4 years. They don't give you the diagrams. You have to generate the diagrams, make the evaluator wait for a moment, evaluate and put it across. Headings and subheadings will be a area to score. So if you are able to put headings and subheadings, write contextually, not just headings, write scientifically answers and draw diagrams with respect to it, you will be able to get marks. So writing practice is required. Second, the one thing that I also see with respect to students in test batches is they write stories in the answer paper and marks doesn't come. That is not how it has to be worked. Questions are going to be slightly dynamic. Questions will always check your understanding knowledge. That is what the last 3 years of forest service question paper has been given. Questions are not general. That is a misconceived opinion because one does not know the syllabus. One does not know the subject, right? So you have to write scientifically the entire answer part. Second, you will be able to give section A, 4 units will be available, and section B, 4 units will be available. What is made into 8 questions in both paper 1 and paper 2. There is another opinion that 100% syllabus, we will put it across and we read. With the time paucity, starting on the month of October, writing on the month of November 24, it is impossible to work on 100% of syllabus. We speak about generally, right? I'm speaking about someone who's humane, who's speaking about a common person. 100% syllabus coverage is not possible. And people does not know even 100% what is syllabus with respect to it. What is to be worked on is, what are the areas that is important to write the 5 questions out of 8? 1. And what 5 questions will give you more amount of marks? Choice of the questions has to be picked in out of the 8. And the writing scale is more important, how to bring it. So you will have to work something on subject knowledge, writing practice, complete understanding of a subject, interrelate paper 1 parts and paper 2 parts, interrelate. For example, if someone is writing an answer on forest management, management cannot be studied separately. Silviculture, silviculture systems, tree breeding and improvement, soil and watershed, mensuration, forest inventory, working plan, even legislation, all this will give you answer for management. So without knowing all the subject and knowing how to interconnect it, mark cannot be achieved to a greater extent. So what a student has to focus is a complete subject knowledge. Within that, which area should be focused, which is core area and which is periphery area. How a general appearing question, which is scientific in manner, has to be answered from picking points from all the core aspects of science. Then people have to go on to something called, if I am appearing on the examination, which questions has to be done, which I should pick and which I should not pick. What is the order of the study that has to be made? Something can be left out and go on to the examination. Maybe you will pay the price, but still you will be able to get maximum marks. These are some things which we will be working with respect to the students, right? So to speak about what are the core areas to be studied, silviculture system, mangroves and coal desert. It's a section A. Then tree breeding. This is for paper 1, right? This is core area. I'm not saying study only this area. I'm saying core area to be studied, right? Then forest mensuration, forest inventory, forest management, forest working plan, tree breeding, forest protection, legislation. Within this, much more nuanced what topic to study and what not topic to study, because it's not possible to study everything. So we'll pick areas and whatever is having a potential to reappear. Year on year, over the last 13 years, we have did it with respect to it, like which question has the highest probability to be asked, which question can appear on it, which can be asked. We put the analysis part and then we bring the questions towards it. That is more important to be studied, right? Apart from that, as reciting one, you require something called subject knowledge. Not 100% of syllabus, but the subject knowledge of forestry. The syllabus includes forestry and non-forestry topics also. Then writing practice, which includes answer writing practice like daily, sectional test, full length test, also again daily answer writing practice. We'll go again and again to understand the parts, right? Skill of writing science, and coverage of important topics. This is the most important part. So if you are taking structure, if you are taking a particular area, right? So you will have to picture this is going to come, this I have to put it across. That is the area that has to be done, right? And finish this first and then read the rest of the part of the syllabus. So cost benefit analysis is very important to put it across, and based upon cost benefit analysis, people have to work with respect to this, right? And apart from that, interconnecting the units of forestry to make it interdisciplinary, number 1. Number 2, bringing answers, scientific answers for questions which appear general, appear like general, but they are not general, they are science-based questions. If a student writes a general answer for a question which appears general, number of marks is going to be very limited. But if you are able to put an answer connecting silviculture system, silvicultural operations, cultural operations, tending operations, characteristics of silviculture, which system to be followed, whether improvement filling has to be followed or not, what kind of patterns can be taken from soil management, watershed management, tree breeding and improvement, what aspects has to be studied from mensuration, inventory, working plan, legislation, wood related science to answer a management question. These many aspects has to be thrown into the answer to bring the question much more scientific if a management question comes. If it is a scientific questions comes from the part of silviculture, then I will have to take all the units of it and bring it together and put the answer towards it. So this is another important part, because the nature of questions that has been seen in the recent years, usually science will have questions like what based question. Now this what based questions have been reduced largely, and questions which appear general statements, or in other words, why based question, reason based question, rational behind a phenomena based questions have been asked. If this has to be answered, then you will have to know the entire subject knowledge. Only when the entire subject knowledge is known to you, you will be able to put it across. That takes its own time period, right? So understanding with respect to it, right? I'll open the session for the doubts. So if you have a doubts, we'll put it across and move across with respect to it. In the meantime, from Vajiram and Ravi, we conduct forestry as a classroom program, and also as a test batch program, right? Apart from that, we also do geology as classroom program. Tomorrow, the geology faculty will be discussing about the orientation, and we have a test batch for this. And day after tomorrow, agri faculty will be discussing about it, and we will have a test batch program for the agriculture as well, right? And the programs include coverage of syllabus as important question based repetition towards the examination, answer writing practice, 4 sectional test, 2 full length test, again daily answer writing practice. So we'll make it much more writing again and again with respect to the part, right? This will also complete the portion. Before both forestry and geology will be completed both before Diwali, and you will be given subject material to study. All you have to do is class notes and then material, study it, reproduce in the examination. If a question on generic manner has been asked, we address it two ways. One, by the class, where we give a complete understanding with respect to the part. Second, based upon writing practice, right? So that is something to be done. So we will be running together till the month of November 24 to put it across, and then come. And most of you would have seen the schedule. If you have a forestry and geology as an optional subject, forestry and geology comes a day after day, continuously one after the other, but you do have a 4-day of gap. So after general knowledge, you can prepare English and general knowledge either 1 hour with respect to it, or you can do like till 15, 17, you will go on with respect to optional subjects. After that, you will take general English and general knowledge and complete, right? After that, you work on 4 days of time will be there. 2 days for geology, 2 days for forestry. First finish geology. After that, go on to forestry, write the forestry part, stretch slightly with respect to the next that forestry day evening with respect to it, revise the quick notes, go on to the geology, finish it and come back. Once this has been done, right, post mains results, Vajiram and Ravi will also travel with you with respect to 2 things. One, we will have certain classes to equip you towards the interview from forestry. Second, we'll also have an exclusive forest service mock panel interview. We'll also have a one-to-one for the forest services with me, right? All this will be done together. Any doubts? I'll wait for a minute if you have been typing. Fine. I hope the session was comfortable. We'll see again for tomorrow. Geology will be there at 8 p.m. Join the session. The faculty will be discussing about how the geology questions were there and how to work on that particular part, right? And with conviction, tell his knowledge is tremendous. The expert person's knowledge on geology will be extremely tremendous. So make use of it as well, right? Thank you.